Shavua Tov. Today's daf is daf Ayin Dalet. The Mishnah starts by telling us Elu Asurim v'Osur v'Kolshu. So as we'll see in the Gemara, we're talking about special Isurim that fit into the following description, the following category. Number one, they're Isuri Hana. Number two, they are Isurim that have a chumrah in that they're chashivi. Chashivi means they have a certain significance. Not like a small crumb of bread on chametz on Pesach. No, that's not significant. And because of these two factors that combine, therefore, if any of these isurim, as listed here in the Mishnah, get mixed up in a taroves, then they aser b'mashu. And here's the list. First, we have yayin nesech, which again is aser b'ano, and the yayin is chashivi. It has chashivus. V'avodas kochavim. Let's say an idol got mixed up with other similar looking objects, and you cannot identify which one is the idol, and they're all osir. Because Avoda Zara is osir bana, it's a cherem, and it's chashivi. The oros levuvin, which literally translates as heart-pierced skins, and when we see these skins, we assume that they too were used as tikroves Avoda Zara. And that was a mission that we learned back on Chavtes Omid Beis. The Shor Niskal is also Osir Bahana, that we derive from the Pasuk Bala Shor Naki. And of course, a Shor, even after it was stoned, but the animal itself, the Basar, is certainly Chashivi. Egla Ruf, again, is an animal that's Osir Bahana. We read about it yesterday in the Kriya, about Nachal Eson and the Arifa. And Sipori Mitzorah. So this has to do with the Tara process of a Mitzorah in Vayikra Perek Yud Gimel. And the purification procedure begins with two birds. One is shechted over a cup of spring water. The other is dipped into the water, and the blood is used to sprinkle the Mitzorah, after which it is set free. So the slaughtered bird is prohibited for Hana, and that's a Mishnah in Kiddushin on Daf Nun Zayin. The Gemara there in Daf Nun Zayin in Kiddushin quotes a machlokes as to whether or not the Isur Hana takes effect as soon as the birds were designated for this Tara Samitzorah, or only after the Shechita. Then the Mishnah goes on and mentions Se'ar Nazir. So when the Nazir, after, let's say, Stam Nazir's Shloshim Yom, at the end of the termination of his period of Nazirus, then he has to shave off his hair. And after the Nazir's hair is cut, the Nazir's hair is forbidden for Hana. And if a bundle of Nazir's hair, which is chashivi, if it's a whole bundle, becomes mixed up with a larger amount of other hair, then Nazir's hair does not become batel, and it's oser v'mashu. Then we have Petach Hamor, which again is a parsha in Shmos Perek Yud Gimel, and there what we have to do is we have to take off the head of the sheep or the goat. I'm sorry, of the male donkey, which is redeemed with a sheep or a goat. And the Gemara in Bechoros Daf Tes records a machlokes whether the firstborn donkey is prohibited for Hana even when it's alive or only after it's decapitated. Our Mishnah reflects the view of Rabbi Yehuda, rules that a firstborn male donkey is prohibited for benefit even while it's still alive. Therefore, if it becomes mixed together with other donkeys, then it does not become nullified. All the donkeys are osir b'hana. Basar b'cholav is osir b'hana because the Torah says lo savashal gedi 3 times. One for the Isra of Bishul, the other is for Isra Chilu, and the third for Isra Noah. And now, after cooking meat and milk together, it got mixed up with other pieces of meat, and it's osir b'mashu. Again, we have to talk about chashivos here. If it's a small slice of meat, that's not choshev. You can't feed it to a guest. But if it's a larger slice of meat, and it got mixed up with even 1,000 pieces of permissible meat, then it's us. The whole thing becomes us. Chulin shenishchatu b'Zara. So the Torah prohibits. We'll find this in the parsha of Avodas Yom Kippurim when the two seirim were brought. One was used as a korban, and the other was soil azazel. And that korban was a special chatas, and with regard to, let's say, the soil azazel for a moment that was sent away and pushed off a rocky incline lazazel, now these dismembered limbs of the azazel are prohibited for hana. And if they get mixed up with limbs of permitted animals, the whole thing, it's aser b'mashu. Because the prohibition to goats, the goat's limbs after the shiluach b'tzuk is an iser hana, as the Gemara derives in Masechta Yoma on Daf Samach Zayin. What else do we have here? Oh, so we discussed Soya Mishtalech and Chulin Shenichtu Bazara is you're not allowed, of course, shecht an animal that's Chulin inside the Azara, and the meat becomes Osir B'Hana, a slice of meat fit to honor a guest, which is Chashivi, is not batel even in a mixture of 1,000 slices of permitted meat. And then the Mishnah gives us a klal. The Gemara is going to try to figure out what this klal is coming to add. Harei elu asurim, all the above are asur. V'osur v'kolshu. Tana mai kachashiv, I kachashiv dover shevaminyan kachashiv. If he's talking about something that we sell by counting how many segments, how many portions we have, that's called the dover chashiv. Is listening nami chatichas nevela. Why isn't nevela here on the list? Nevela is also chatichos nevela asuros, and although there's no Isra Anovat, there's an Isra Achila, and it's a Dover Sheviminyan. So again, we're talking about the fact that the Mishnah omits certain cases, like for example, nevela. So apparently the fact that it's chashivi, it's a Dover Sheviminyan, that alone is not sufficient to generate the Isra Mashahu. And if you're going to tell me Yisuri Anoka Chashuv, that's what's common to the list here in the Mishnah, is Yisuri Anoka is listening Nami Chometz for Pesach, Omer Abchia Bar Abba, and other saves of Nitzuk Nafcha. This time of our Mishnah holds that you need two, you have to check off two boxes in order for the Isur Mashu to kick in. Number one, it's got to be a Dover Sheviminyan, has to have the Chashivas that it's counted one by one, and Yisuri Anoka. And that's common to all that's on the list. The Gemara asks for listening egoze perech v'rimone badan. So now we're talking about nuts and pomegranates of Orla, and they fill both categories, both requirements, because it's a Dover Sheviminyan and it's Isurei Hana. And the Gemara answers Hatani Lehasab. We have a Mishnah in Orla that already records the Isur Mashu in these cases of fruits of Orla, which are Chashivi. And the Mishnah says that these Perach nuts or the Badan pomegranates and a whole list of other cases of Orla, like sealed casks of wine, beet stalks, cabbage stalks, green gourd, all of these are Oser v'Mashu because they have both criteria. They have, number one, Isra Hana, Orla is Oser b'Hana, and number two, they are Chashivi. Haroila Orla, Haroila Klaya Kerem. On the list we have certain vegetables like cabbage, beets, and so forth. That's Klaya Kerem. So if you mix in the planting, you mix both vegetables and vines, then you end up with klei akerim, which is also banoah. And then you have here those perech nuts and the badan pomegranates and wine. Those all fit under roy le'orla as fruits that grew on a tree.